Well, welcome back to week number 4 of Paparazzi. In James chapter 4, James is going to talk about some of the common issues that were happening in the places where his readers lived. And one of those problems was fighting, especially fighting amongst the Christians. James, he points out that the root cause of these conflicts were often people's wants and selfish desires. That's what was leading to the division. And James, he also talks about the temptation that we have to follow the values and the behaviors of the world in this chapter. He tells us, guys, don't act and think like the rest of the world because that can cause problems both within the church and also whenever we're talking to people who don't share our faith. He says, instead, ask God for wisdom. Rely on God's grace so that we can deal with our problems in a way that's going to honor God. Back in 1987, a man named Gary Ridgway was arrested and charged with the murder of several young women in Seattle, Washington. He was convicted on 49 charges of murder, and he's believed to have killed even more. And one of his victims was a young woman named Becky Moreo. Moreo's mother, Mary, struggled to find peace and closure after her daughter's murder. But instead of letting her anger and her bitterness consume her, Moreo decided that she was going to respond with forgiveness and grace. And in 2003, she attended Ridgway's trial and was given the opportunity to address him directly. And rather than using this as a time to yell at him or condemn him, Moreo chose to offer him a message of forgiveness and hope. I know that God's love for you is as great as his love is for me, she told Ridgway in the courtroom. You're not defined by your sin, you're defined by your future. And Moreo's act of forgiveness and grace, it's a powerful example of the kind of humility and grace that James tells us to have in chapter 4. Rather than responding to hurt with more hurt, Moreo responded with love and compassion, seeking to offer healing and hope to a man who had caused her so much pain. And by following her example, we can navigate our conflicts and challenges in a way that's going to reflect God's love and grace. And in this past weekend, Jay, he talked about how conflict in the world today, it's causing so much stress. James 4 asks, what's causing fights and quarrels among you? And then he talks about the real reason that we fight. It's pride. And Jay, he stressed the importance of choosing humility over pride, since pride can cause so many problems in our relationships. He showed us ways that we can practice humility, like being an active listener and asking for feedback and admitting your limits and putting others ahead of yourself and being grateful. Jay challenged us to be honest about our lives and relationships and look for places where pride might be causing problems. He told us, guys, it's time to change the way that we deal with conflict, to choose humility and to ask God for help in our relationships with other people. And so to get things started today in your groups, let me start by asking you the question, how can you show humility in your relationships this week with other people? How can you spread peace and love in a world that so badly needs both? Thank you for joining us for week number 4 of Paparazzi. I hope that you're learning how to live out your faith in a world that is always watching.